What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another profile here on TCG University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today I'm going to be showing you Tyler's Kitana deck. This deck was incredibly fun. I really like the way that he used the Kitana Enhance as it synergized with the rest of the deck. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so if you haven't seen one of my deck profiles, basically the way that I do this is, as opposed to just reading off the card verbatim, I kind of give you a bit of an elevator pitch of what the deck wants to do, right? And so what Kitana wants to do is she wants to pump her stats by giving up a resource of vitality, and then once she's at desperation, all of her attacks are way harder to block, depending on if she has access to my if she understands what my opponent has in their hand, right? If my opponent plays a singular attack and then builds 2 foundations, we can pretty much assume that they don't have more attacks, and so we can call foundation asset or action and give +2, plus a little finding out some knowledge what my opponent's doing, as well as one of the best defensive abilities of a turn, lose X vitality, discard my opponent's attack with a printed difficulty of X. So she can just null and void multiples. If my opponent double damages one of their attacks, she can essentially just like say that I half blocked it. Just a lot of really useful utility stuff with this once per turn lose X vitality. So onto the deck. We're playing under the evil symbol, and the point of this deck is actually just to murder you. Make sure that I got a bunch of really cool unblockable stuff. So the first attack that we're playing is Shadow Slicer. It's a really good attack to soften them up. I've got triple Shadow Slicer in my discard pile, and I'll just play 4 Shadow Slices over and over and over again. And each one of them is, I'm paying 3 vitality for 4 speed and 3 damage. And so 8 high for 7s are very good. 4 8 high for 7s that once I'm in desperation, you now are 10 high for 7s. It just says that you're not blocking these. And if you do block them, you're wasting a bunch of resources. And I've only attempted to play this card on a 4 diff 4 times. You can play a 4 diff 4 times, easy peasy. The main kill card of the deck is actually Deathlord's Impalement. This card comboing with Kitana is incredibly strong. It's got desperation. It's got a good block. She might be one of the best characters to play this just because of how much vitality, because she loses vitality on her face, as well as the loss of vitality inside of the card, as well as all the other cards that we're playing. This thing is absolutely massive, and if I guess right, it gets an additional 2 speed. So it gets 4 speed off of Kitana, which it already gets 1,000,000 damage. It's really strong stuff. This is the main way that this Kitana deck kills people. But we're out playing the evil symbol, and so let's get a little greedy. We're playing triple Coffee Samba in order to try and draw our Deathlord Impalement, as well as just open up our opponent. Yeah, the multiples don't activate on Kitana, but Kitana gives this thing +2 speed. And so every time that I'm paying 1 vitality for +2 speed and +1 damage. I just essentially make a 6 mid for 6 Coffee Samba that stunned them out and drew. This card's pretty much unblockable, especially at desperation. I'm going to say that a lot. We're playing double Wind Embrace. This card just lets me open up my opponent, kind of like the poor man's Shadow Slicer. As a throw, it gets extra damage and speed. Excuse me. It can't be blocked nearly as easy, and I'm gaining vitality. A lot of this deck happens in the vein of like I'm going to burn vitality and then lose it back and then burn it again and then lose it back and use my vitality as an actual resource. It's some really cool stuff. We're playing double Fan NATO as a really good finisher. If I have any momentum, this thing has powerful, and its combo enhance is one of the strongest in the game, actually. Your opponent can only attempt to block with an attack with a printed block modifier of 3 or greater, which means at minimum, it's you have to block on a 5 because it's a 2. Well, the desperation says a free +2/+2, and then Kitana says a free +2 +1. And then desperation gets an additional +2, and so this thing is nigh unblockable once we get to that stage in the game. We're playing double Glaive Throw. This card is way stronger than it has any credit to be. The desperation enhance, name a card type. Your opponent loses vitality for each, loses 2 for each of the named card type. I was playing as Johnny Cage versus this Kitana deck, and I happen to have 4 foundations in my hand in order to try and stay alive because, I didn't draw attacks. And so he just slammed down a Glaive Throw, added a card back to my hand, and said, hey, burn 10. Burn a third of your life because I'm at half health. And then he proceeded to try and win that game that turn just because of the burn 10 being so potent. And then our last attack is Raptor Rush. Playing this card as a reversal is silly. It's very, very silly. And in Kitana, it's a 6 high for 7 that is just play as a reversal. It just does a bunch of stuff, and it says that your next block is incredibly cheap too. Onto the assets and actions, the tech pieces of the deck. Being able to play Quan Chi's Fortress, it's a little counterproductive, but the main reason we're playing it is just the once per turn game 1 vitality. If we play this and we have a Shadow Slicer, it's possible that I can just respond, lose 3 and I can't play any more Shadow Slicers, which means removing the Shadow Slicer doesn't make any sense. And so it's a little counterproductive, Quan Chi's Fortress, and so this is one of the cards that you could take or leave inside of the deck, but it did win the Kitana at least one game just because of it existing and saying, oh, my opponent can't play more cards either. It's a really cool combo with Kitana and Quan Chi's Fortress. Really cool stuff. We're playing one Kaludis. This card is just after I smack you, I get to flip a problem card. It existing as an asset and just getting to use it every turn, it means it's incredibly, incredibly strong. It's definitely a card that we can look at. And once we're at deadlock, if I haven't quite killed my opponent yet, all of my stuff gets just absolutely massive. And my last asset is Blood, Sweat, and Beers. Once I'm at Desperation, just kind of stop what you're doing and just try and end your turn. And so building it out and then cheating ourselves down to Desperation. Our main kill card being Deathlord's Impalement says that I want to be in Desperation as quickly as I can, and so whenever they try to respond and cancel any of the things that I'm trying to do, I'll just be like, hey, I'll cancel that instead. It's just a good catch-all. Onto the foundations. So I listed out the foundations into the blocks that they are in. So the first foundation that I want to talk about is some of the kill me. I'm trying to kill you cards. True Identity just says I get to play big, long strings of attacks and be totally cool. That form commit. It's check insurance. I want to give +1 on my checks for the rest of the turn. It's not good if you're playing just like one attack, but if you're playing a big string of them, it's just good enough. Up next, we're playing a new alliance. The reason this is a kill me more card, a kill you more card, is the commit. Your opponent attempts to block with a foundation. They're checked to block it, gets -3, and you draw a card. So you call foundation with this, you call attack with Kitana at Desperation, and now they just can't block your thing at all. Or if you want to just make sure they can't block with a foundation, you just go foundation, and it's like, hey, you're not blocking with a foundation. You have to block with an attack. Up next, we're playing triple Fallen Angels. After you play it, you get to reveal the top card of your deck. The reason I'm playing this a kill you more card is it lets you build more. We're playing 3 1-checks in our deck, and if we check bad on turn 1, the game's over. We just lose, right? And so this kills my opponent more because it lets me guarantee build incredibly safe. I'll play a 1-diff. I'll play the Fallen Angels. I'll reveal a 5 off the top. Well, now I know I get to build something like a new alliance, a good power card, in order to push through the rest of the game. And so it lets you build early on turns 1 and turn 2, and that is just enough to kill them. Onto the consistency aspect of it, we're playing 4 Hell's Reach, kind of in the same vein as Fallen Angels, but like we are playing bad checks, and 3s and 1s exist in our deck, and so if we do ever have to commit a card and we need to ready it back up, Hell's Reach essentially on 1 turn counts as 2 foundations, essentially once per game. And it's just good enough in order to as a 0/5 to be included inside of our deck. Trying to play those big strings, you know. We're playing triple Profane Sanctuary because getting breakered is fucking abysmal. I hate getting breakered. I want to be able to play my cards just as cool as I can, and flip cancel breaker is the thing that might be able to let me play more Shadow Slices in order to play the Impalement later on a chain. We're playing 4 new Empress of Netherrealm. So this is probably one of the sickest, best cards to be played with Deathlord's Impalement, because this card says if I've got 2 of these out, it's essentially draw 2 plus 6 damage because of how Deathlord Impalement reads. It just says vitality you've lost during this enhanced step, and so paying your 3 as a cost, it counts as you having lost that vitality. We're playing a Worthy Vessel. It's kind of the same thing with Deathlord's Impalement. Lose a vitality, +2 or -2 damage. And then so with Kitana and Deathlord's Impalement, it's a +2, +3, all for losing 2 vitality. That's some good trading of stats. Playing triple Most Trusted Assassin, I want to be able to look at the card in your hand as well as it's just 3 more instances. It says +3 more damage off of Deathlord's, and it's harder for them to play cards. Playing Triple Outworld's Eris. This card says pay X Vitality, which means it's incredibly good with Deathworld's Impalement. I'll pay 3 and pop that non-block back up into your hand. Well, now I give it plus 3 more damage. Incredibly strong. As well as it says that I don't get stunned out by my opponent's missile launcher just by paying some Vitality to make sure I can block it. We're playing one Last of His Kind. This card is actually more of an aggressive card than a defensive one, but like it still exists in the defensive camp. Just the Desperation your attack is +2 damage is really strong with Kitana because of +2 damage and then +2/+1 off of Kitana and then +2 to the block modifier. The Desperation on this is so sneaky good inside of this deck. Up next, we got one of the coolest cards, one of Tyler's favorite cards, English Aristocrat. This is what I was talking about when I said the deck wants to gain life and then pay it back down, and then gain that life and then pay it back down. Your attack with only 2 or fewer keywords gets +3 speed, and if it deals damage, gain 3 vitality. The main 2 attack cards that I talked about at the top of the deck profile only have 2 keywords, and so giving a Shadow Slicer or a Deathlord's Impalement +3 speed is incredibly good. And I'll pay myself all the way down to, I don't know, 4 or 5 life, and then jump back up to 8 and be able to pay that life back down. And it also has the response flip, which says after you reveal the top card of your deck, which we do so with Orphan Alchemist, you get to gain some more vitality. This card just lets you reveal the top card of your deck and make sure that when you're pushing for a kill turn, you are safe on it. Or if you need to block or you want to draw, you know what's there. As well as just being a 1/6. Really solidly statted card. Up next, we're playing 3 Uniting Rebels. It's just essentially once per turn, I get to not count Kitana's minus life every time that I play. So if I have all 3 out and I play 3 attacks, I didn't actually pay any vitality with Kitana because I'm just gonna be gaining it right back and try and stay in that cushy desperation spot. We're playing double Face of a Monster, just making sure that I can block everything that I can. Really good. I doubt we'll ever get to the Deadlock to make them discard, but the Desperation Change My Zone is very applicable. And then my last card, normally I put this with Numbers of Netherrealm, but it kind of had its own job inside of this deck. But just arranging a deal to just draw an additional card. Sometimes you need that little extra push in order to kill your opponent. Alright, so that was Tyler's Kitana deck. Thank you very much for checking out the profile. If you want to see the matches that Kitana is in, make sure you check out the playlist here on the channel of End of the Line. That's what the playlist is called. If you want to check out the matches as they're being recorded live, go to twitch.tv/TCGUniversity every Tuesday at 6 o'clock, and we stream out there every single match for the upcoming campus championship week. And then lastly, if you want to support us, go to patreon.com/TCGUniversity, sub at the $1 level, and you'll get access to our Patreon where you can have a big, long, in-depth conversation with us about Kitana or any other deck that you want. So from all of us here at TCG University, thank you very much for watching and stay learned.